What's going on, Fit Fam? My name is Sully Lupke, the host of Phamily Matters on the Stacking W's podcast network. And this week, I have the honor and privilege of bringing you Bruce Pitcher. Bruce is somebody that I personally look up to. He is the first person that, from the outside world, outside of HQ, that told me that he was watching my content and that he believes in me. He is actually one of the reasons, we touch on it a little bit, of why I started these podcasts / YouTube videos. In this podcast, we go through how to use your trauma for you, how to make that decision and transform your life. And at the end, we go into a little bit of gym icks and gym etiquette. I'm telling you, this is something that you are going to want to listen to over and over again. So I ask you, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Not only does that help us continue to do what we do, but it might just help somebody in your life. All right, let's get to the episode.
No, man, I just want to see how you doing.
Not bad, dude. Can't complain too much. You know what I mean?
Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Considering
exactly,
we're alive and well.
Yeah. What about you? What's new?
Man, we're just chugging along. I'm having fun doing like a couple of new shows on YouTube. I'm trying to get into the whole YouTube space.
There you go.
You know how that
there
goes.
You go. Yeah.
And I know we talked a long time about me starting a podcast, and you got, I don't want to say mad at me, but you put a little pressure on me because I didn't do it.
Yeah.
And that's on me. But I appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure. Exactly, dude. Can't hold anything back. You got some good info to tell people, you know?
Man, I can tell you what, I'm following your lead. Like, I think I've told you this story. I'm not sure if I told it on your podcast, but you were one of the first people that that I remember realizing like, oh, my message is getting out there. So when you guys came, Epic 2022, you came to HQ and you recognized me and came up to me, and I was just like, me?
Yeah.
You like my stuff?
Yeah. Exactly, man.
Because I think at that time I was just doing my walking talk.
Yeah, I think you were. And you were doing 75 hard a couple times too.
That's true. Yeah. So, and I know you're really well versed in that because that played a role in your journey too, right?
Oh yeah, played a huge role. Well, it just was a good. I start the very first time that I did it was actually right before COVID started.
Oh, perfect time.
Oh, dude, it was like I was like, this is great. You know what I mean? So I freaking crushed it with that first time I did it, without a doubt.
Yeah.
So yeah, that one was my favorite time of doing it, you know, because it really was the easiest. Not that it's easy, but it really was the easiest time to do it because you didn't really have anything else you had to worry about. You know what I'm saying? So it was
a lot of people, looking back, what a lot of people I think missed is that the world was quiet.
Yeah.
And for the first time since, I don't know, social media became like a big thing, the world was actually still. And I think that either drove people crazy or made them level up.
Exactly.
What do you think on that?
Yeah, I think without a doubt. I mean, our lives will always be before COVID and after COVID, you know, like we're always going to talk about stories of like before COVID or after COVID. So, I mean, and there's going to be people, like you said, that are going to want to talk about it. And then there's going to be people that aren't going to want to talk about it. You know, like we're how many years since it really like hit? I mean, what are we, like 2 or 3 years now?
I mean,
something like that.
Shutdowns happened in March of 20. We're on 2024 now. Isn't that freaking crazy?
Yeah. And still people are living in like, gosh, before COVID or after, you know what I mean, are still living in that. Like before COVID, I was doing all this, or I haven't taken off my COVID weight. Like, you know what they've always said, the COVID weight, or they have, you know, like it's crazy, dude. So
from a coaching perspective, because you're one of the best coaches that I know, how do you use a big life event like that? Because it can go positive or negative. How do you spin it? Not only for yourself, but for your clients.
Well, this is, I just say, hey, here's life and its hits. So like, what have you been, this is why it's so important to take care of yourself before. This is why it's so important to get yourself uncomfortable. This is why it's so important to do the things that we talk about on a daily basis, like all the time, right? Because we don't know when the next big moment is, and it's going to be out of our control. Like that was a lot of things that were out of our control, right? Of like what the society is doing. But what you could control is the buildup, and if you were ready for it, right? And if you were already worried about your health, if you were already worried about your finances, if you were already worried about your friendships, and your relationships, if you were worried about your spirituality and all that stuff, and you weren't working on that, like it's never perfect, right? But if you weren't working on that before, what makes you think when a tragedy like that happens is going to happen? You're just all of a sudden going to click. It's not. Like it just doesn't. You know what I mean? Until you hit that ultimate rock bottom. So how I would coach people is like it's just like we're built for this, right? Like people that I've been working for is like, guys, this is why we've been doing what we're doing. This is why you don't go to this gym and promote health and everything else for a number or a physique. You know what I'm saying? You like that shit bugs me, dude. Like honestly, that bugs me. Like before and afters are great, right? Before and afters are so cool. But what I like to see of a before and after is somebody that was so insecure that never wanted to show anything. And then all of a sudden they're showing something, you know, and they're showing something and maybe they're not a finished product or a perfect product. But to me, that is more of like an inspiring thing than seeing somebody that's like, I mean, obviously, if you've lost like amount of weight, like I have, you know, I have a before and after. I posted before and after yesterday. But what I'm saying is there's more to it of the before and after than the pounds lost, right? Like, especially nowadays, dude. Like, there's shots, there's all kinds of stuff that's like can get you to where you want to get to. That I don't think anybody's gonna be like, for me at 400 pounds, like seeing somebody take a shot or something like that, which is if somebody does that, great. But that's not gonna inspire me to get off my ass and change my life. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So yeah. So that was kind of a little tangent, but I've been just kind of fired up lately about like just stuff like that, you know? So
well, there's so many people nowadays that just want to skip the work. And I think that's I mean, that's kind of what I heard out of that. It's just like, yeah, there is shots. I mean, you can do this, that, and another, but like until you do the work before a life event, until you do the work after a life event, like you are going to find yourself back to square one unless you're willing to consciously pick it and do the work.
Yeah, exactly. And it's the mindset work, right? Like
ooh, tell me more.
Challenging ourselves in workouts. Like I don't go to the gym. I go to the gym, yes, so I'm not overweight. But what I like to focus on at the gym is doing things that are going to make, like, the reason you want to get up early and do the gym is because that builds a discipline. It builds a life of, like, you know, getting uncomfortable and doing things. Like we tried to do the 10,000 calorie challenge, burn 10,000 calories in a day on Saturday. And dude, that's one of the hardest things I've ever done. But
I'm surprised you're not in a wheelchair.
Yeah, I wasn't prepared. So we didn't get there to where I wanted to be because we just kind of winged it. And I was just like, okay, this is the next time I do it. Now I know what I need to do.
Bruce, I'm shocked that you just decided to wing something, honestly.
Yeah.
Full send, baby.
That's right. So, oh man, that was something. But it's just like, it's like those kinds of things I think is what people need to know with transformation. And I was trying to say that today too on my post and my stories, like, guys, quit, because I get so many people, right, that get so mad about not getting results on the scale. And they're just like, gosh, I'm doing all this work and everything else. And they don't even realize that they've lost like 40 pounds already. And they're comparing to this person and this person. And it's taken so long. And it's like, gosh, every single time that I do this, I fall short. And I'm just like, but how many times have you gotten back up and you kept going and you're not where you were before? And the point that you're still like in the fight. Like that's the thing that I think that's the thing that is so not looked at enough, you know, like we're always like challenges, for instance, you get a challenge and everyone's so just like on the results of the body. And then when they don't win in that challenge, it just like makes people be like, well, what's the point? You know, instead of identifying, no, what the point is, you showed up. Like, that's a win.
You did the habits.
Better
you did
than
the
you were.
workouts.
Yeah. are you better than you were yesterday? You sure are. Damn right. Maybe you don't look like that person, but how long did it take that person ultimately to get there? Like it's just always, it's just like decide what you want in life.
Perfect. So here's what I got as a coach. I'm asking you, right? So when you get that person and they get to the end of that challenge, and guess what? There's 8 billion people on Earth. Odds are you're not going to get selected as the winner, right? Like even if you have an amazing transformation, the odds are against you. But they're at the top of that mountain at the moment. How do you keep them from coming back down the mountain and then or scaling up the mount up a new mountain? How do you do it while you coach or in your own life?
So it's a quickly to point to like I mean it sounds so simple, but it's just finding something to get uncomfortable real quick. It's not setting a new goal,
Oh,
not setting a like because they just got to the pinnacle, right?
and that's a high, right? They're feeling good, looking
Yeah,
good.
well, and you see, I experienced this, right? Like when I was on extreme weight loss. You know what I mean? All of us when we're on extreme weight loss, we go through a whole year of transformation. I've lost over 200 pounds, did phenomenal things, have done all these things, hit my goal weight. Every single buddy that's on that show, we're all on the top of a mountain, right? And it is
Yep.
so easy to like say, here we go. But I talk to people about like some metaphors I've used is I said, hey, let's be legendary. Now let's be legendary. I said, and I use a lot of football and sports terms, and I'm like, hey, you think Tom Brady, he wanted to be a legend, like he didn't stop after the one Super Bowl. What did he try to go do? He tried to go get number 2. You know what I mean? So like you want to become legendary in your own world and in your own transformation. And then I just touch on like, and then also be legendary within your family. Like Tom Brady has all these people, but let the people in your family know like you got to this top, but you still keep going. And that's really all that matters. All the people that are looking on the outside or whatever else, they don't matter. It's your family and friends that you're close to, and you become legendary to them and show them what is possible. So you kind of revamp and refuel and ask them what's next. And that's kind of what I take about it.
Dude, I love it because to become legendary, you have to go to work the next day.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So bringing it back to like, oh, I got to the top of the mountain, my mountain now. But then you said do something hard, and that's that next day. It's not next week because you can fall back.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you found?
Yeah, oh, for sure. And then they get back in their old habits because those bad habits didn't go away after a year, right? Like I'm 10 years out of this and I still struggle on a daily basis with food. I still struggle on a daily basis with trying to stay motivated to go to the gym. I still struggle, like I want to be just that old self of like chilling and in my basement, being able to watch the games whenever I want and just chill, and it is hard to shut that person up. But living on both sides, I like to look at it as living on both sides of the spectrum, like which one would I like to do? Do I love that 400 pounds and I weigh out the pros and cons for each one? And it's like the pros obviously living a healthy lifestyle are better than the pros of 400. There are some great pros when you're 400 pounds, no doubt about it. Like there's some fun times. I mean, I'm just gonna say it. Like there is, but in the long run, it's not the big pro that you want. So that's the way I look
selfishly, I want you to live as long as possible so I can be around you as long as possible. So I'm glad you chose the fit life path. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So let's go here. Bruce, but man, my family just isn't about it. My friends, they're just not about it. Like I transformed, but now they're kind of getting me into the habits. They always want me to drink. They're always offering me stuff. I just don't know what to do with them. Now that's a hard conversation. What do you think people should do in those situations?
They gotta have. I mean, you gotta have a real vulnerable talk. I mean, it's literally that simple. You got to sit them down. You got to talk to them. And you got to know they're gonna say everything in the book. And then you've got to be ready to make a stand and cut them out. It's just, I mean, it's that simple. And
so solid boundaries.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a spouse, like something we learned from JD or whatever, then they obviously don't love you enough, and they're not worth to be in your life. Like it's that simple. Like it is that simple to just be like, A divorce needs to happen. Like I'm serious. That's this
Mm-hmm.
that
It's a
because
respect thing too for your partner.
yeah, exactly. It's not. I mean, they don't say they love you unconditionally till life or death or whatever else. They don't give a shit. Obviously, they're so selfish that they don't want you to be focused on what you want to do. And so, to me, you got to draw that line. You got to have a serious talk, and then you got to prove it. Like a lot of the times, they're gonna say like, "Oh, you do this all the time." Da 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 da. So that's on you. Like that's you as a person. You've given in to them every single time. That's the reason they keep offering it to you. But sooner or later, you say no enough, and you start separating it. They're not going to come around. That's just. I mean, that's the way it is. None of my people call me to go out to eat anymore. You know what I mean? Like you've got to decide though what you want with that.
Man, and those are tough conversations to have, and especially in today's world, we're conditioned to like kind of avoid
Yeah.
controversy, right? Because the political correctness, oh, I don't want to step on anybody's toes kind of thing. But the hard conversations, especially when it comes to health, wellness, spiritual well-being, things like that, it's
Mm-hmm.
the most important conversations that you can have.
Mm-hmm.
Laying those boundaries down clearly, I think are some of the biggest things you can do in a transformation setting.
100%. 100% agree with that.
And I think we're on the same wavelength here is that health and wellness isn't temporary. We're in this until the day we die,
Yeah, exactly. So
right?
it's like you decide which one you want. Like,
Yeah.
do you want to do it longer? Do you want to do it longer of overweight and everything else, or do you want to do it longer
Mhm.
of like of trying every single day, giving worrying about you got to track your food, you got to worry about your macros and that stuff. And people are always like, oh, it's so overwhelming. Well, what's overwhelming if you just sit down and set for a second and decide like how that unhealthy lifestyle is so overwhelming. Like everything else that you're worried about on that day. You're worried about, will this clothes fit? Will I worry about, am I going to be able to walk out to my car? Am I worried about, am I going to be able to fit into that shirt? Am I worried about, like, those are the things that you worry about. So you got to decide, do you want to trade worrying about tracking your fucking macros, or do you want to worry about, like, if your heart's going to stop beating in the morning? You know what I mean? Like, do you want to
Jesus.
worry about like looking in the mirror and not liking what's looking back at you? And so, but we look at it as it's such a daunting task to, oh man, to really pay attention to what I eat and it's just overwhelming. But they're not even paying attention to how stressful their life is because
Mhm.
of because they're living an unhealthy life. Like, and it's more than just the looks and the physical on your body. It's the mental fatigue that it's doing to you every single day and not letting you accomplish what you want to accomplish in this world. And that's honestly what it's really all about. And when you sit back and you can pay attention to that and realize like, oh my gosh, this is actually the more overwhelming feeling of being in this. Like I hate hating myself, like that's that's it. They say they hate themselves, and that's way stressful. So like I'd rather
Yeah.
be stressed out that I got to worry that I've literally got to fight urges to not eat that, you know?
Yeah. And I think a lot of people miss the fact that they're not alone. Like
Yeah.
you're openly talking about it. I had moments when I was um, in the military, going through some mental stuff when it came to food and the body. I had extreme body dysmorphia. I wouldn't turn on the light till I had a sweatshirt on,
Yeah.
right? And like I would binge all the time. And like these are things that happen to so many people. And it's recognizing that, hey, there's a community out here that you can get involved with that will actually back you up,
Mm-hmm.
that will keep you accountable to tracking those macros, that'll keep you accountable to coming to a gym, that they don't have to go it alone. I know you've done a really good job cultivating a community in your life because like it wasn't easy. Like extreme weight loss helped, but then you and Corey and everybody else that you built out at the cell, your gym, and
Yeah.
and then larger than life, which we haven't even gotten into yet. You've just been building good people and good people and good people to keep you accountable. Can you talk on the importance of that kind of stuff?
Yeah. I mean, that's that without a doubt. I mean, it's just like what you just touched on a little bit ago of what about the people that are stopping you, wanting you to go out to the drinks and all that stuff. But what I've done is surrounded myself with that all around me, right? Like those are the eyes that are looking at me. Those are the people that I talk to. Those are the people that like I'm experiencing. So it's like that's what I know, right? So that is my life. Like that's my life. It's not people calling me to go eat or go drink. That's you. If you call me that, we don't have anything common. Almost it's like, oh, we won't. Yeah, we can do that, but I got to do this and this first. So the importance of community is, in my opinion, the best thing you can do, right? So because so
Yeah.
many people wish that they had a community, but there's so many communities out there, but you got to be willing to, like everything else, put yourself out there and work for it.
Yeah, it hasn't been more easy to find a community with social media.
Yeah.
It's a blessing and it's a curse.
Yep. Yep.
uh, but there's so many out there that honestly I'm blessed to be a part of. Spartan racing a little bit,
Yep.
CrossFit back in the day for me, being involved a little bit with your community. Like you guys have some amazing
Yeah.
people over there. And how about we talk a little bit on that? So you went to extreme weight loss. What year was that again?
2014, I think, or 13. Like 2013 is when I started.
And
So,
how many pounds did you lose on the show?
over 200.
Okay. And then you built that eventually into a coaching career of larger than life.
Yep.
How did that all come about?
I just was, I mean, just wondering what to do in life, just like everybody else. Like when I was on the show, I wanted to kind of, I always said that I want to show what is possible for people, and like wanted to do something. When I was on the show, I was like, man, someday I would love to create my own thing and have a show or something like that. I just kind of said that, and I was just like, it'd be fun to just kind of teach people what it's truly all about, because I struggled for, I mean, all those years, right, of trying to lose weight. And I had so many people come to me and write me plans and give me nutrition plans and trainers and everything else. And it never clicked, right? It for whatever reason didn't click. I had people offer me lots of money if I just get it going, because people were worried. But it's so when I got done with the show, I worked on the show of season um, 5 of Extreme Weight Loss. So I learned a lot, like just dealing with the contestants there and helping them through their transformation first 90 days. And then I did this thing called Destination Boot Camp, where people flew in from all over the world, actually. And we did 8 weeks. There were 8 different weeks, and they were there for a week of talking about transformation. And Dr. Holly Wyatt, I learned a lot from her on the mental side of transformation. She's really good with nutrition stuff too, but she really knew a lot about the mental side. And obviously Chris and Heidi knew a lot about the mental side and stuff like that. And so I started taking all these things, and I just was realizing real quickly that's what it was missing. Like this world of transformation is missing of what it's like to have somebody in your corner to believe in you, what it's like to have like the mindset piece of like what it takes to get there, and so that's just and so I began to look around and be like, there's nothing out there like that. So I was like, all right, well, we'll do it. And so I was just like, I'm going to start coaching people, and that's how it became about. And took a long time to build, but we're building and still building, still building where we want to go, because there's just too many people. You can't just pound the pavement with people, like you just can't yell at people to be like, get up and let's go. There's more deep rooted issues, and there's a lot of things you got to overturn with a lot of people because they've been through some shit in life that you don't even understand. And it's just like, how do we switch that? And sometimes you just got to be somebody that's a believer in their corner, and then you get out of their way, and they can do phenomenal things. So that's kind of how it started. That's kind of why I wanted to do it and build it out. So hopefully that answers the question.
No, you definitely did. Speaking of trauma, right? You had a little bit growing up. Can you touch on that just a little bit for us?
On the what did you say?
On trauma and like
Oh,
how
trauma.
it can affect
Dude,
you going forward.
bro, I thought you said Trump. I'm like, what? Where are
Oh,
we going?
brother, we're not.
I was like, okay.
We'll save that for another podcast,
Yeah.
huh, brother?
Like, dude, okay, where are we going with
Man,
this?
you just got my views
like,
down
holy
just because of
cow.
that. Jesus Christ, what are we doing here? I'm gonna have to bleep that one out.
Oh, that was good.
Screw it. I know that people share this. So you know what? Here
Yeah.
we go. Trauma.
Yeah. So there we go. I was like, wait, what? That was
All right,
great.
left turn.
Trauma. Yeah. No, it's just like, I mean, trauma is just, it's to me, I've learned I've gotten lots of therapy, which was really helpful for me. So if anybody's wondering, like, I was sexually abused from my father. And so that was my trauma and dealing with that whole thing. And I got lots of therapy, and I learned that it's okay to not be okay sometimes. I learned that, like, if you're not always in a good mood and upbeat, because some people think that it's okay to not be some days, as long as you're coming back again, which is going to happen. And
Mhm.
and it's just like, I mean, and when I find out that, and what I try to have done is use my trauma, that's ultimately what's created my coaching program and created is I've used my trauma and everything I went through as a kid to do what I do now. So I look at it as like it was a blessing to go through it all to teach me, because if all that didn't happen, then I'm not doing what I'm doing, period. So I guess that's kind of the way that I've taken trauma and turned it into a thing for me to utilize it, right? And that's what I tell the people that my coach, and I get a lot of people that have been through some very hardship things, and I tell them, like, hey, you're strong as can be. You don't even realize it. When you go through something like that, you have something to offer this world that's more impactful than anything. So I always feel that way. So yeah. That's the way I look at trauma. You can either use it as a crutch or a poor me victim card, or you can switch it and make it your strongest weapon.
Man, and I think that's one of the most powerful things on the face of this planet is because for the longest time, unknowingly, you played the victim.
Yep.
But then all of a sudden, you're just like, no, this is something that I can not only use to fuel myself going forward, but then to help tell the story, not to have people feel bad, but to
Yeah.
be able to tell the story and be like, hey, this has happened in my past. Something has happened in your past. You can get by it.
Yep. Yep. Exactly.
And so it's
Exactly.
like throwing fuel to the fire, logs on the fire in a positive way.
Yeah. It gives people hope, right? Like when you see a person
Yeah.
that like running a Boston Marathon, you're like, well, if they can do it, why can't I? There's somebody that's going
Yeah.
to lose a leg, and they're out there doing that. It gives that person that just lost their leg hope. So
Hmm.
there's
Well, I
always
can tell
somebody
you
out there
that,
something.
man, you've inspired me more than you know.
Likewise. Likewise.
It's crazy, especially my favorite moment was after our Spartan races when Jenna and I went down there, and all of a
Yeah.
sudden you're just like, "Are we gonna do this? We still got people." And then all of a sudden you're just like, "Fuck it, 7:30, meet at your gym," and we threw down for
Yeah.
45 minutes.
Yeah, we did. Yeah,
And,
we did.
and that's the type of person you are because you were on 75 hard, or was Lexi one of you, or both of you?
I can't remember.
I can't remember either, but you're just like, well, we got to do 45 minutes.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, exactly.
we we put that together. But that's one of my favorite things about you is like you're always willing to do something hard,
Yeah,
and
for
and
sure.
that didn't happen overnight, right?
No.
You had to say yes to little things and then bigger things and then build yourself up in
Hmm.
order to be able to get to that point.
Yes, 100%.
Where
100.
did you start? Like you, Bruce, feeling bad about yourself. What was the first thing that you did?
Well, ultimately, it was on the show was keeping integrity. That was the number
Oh,
one, and personal integrity to ourselves. Because
can you
and
define that for yourself?
yeah, once we started to build that, then that's when we all become unstoppable, right? Like,
Mm.
so it was basically like, you know, setting ourselves up to win. Like, so hey, if it's 10 minutes, you're committed to 10 minutes. You don't stop at 9 minutes and 59 seconds, like, even though physically it wouldn't matter at all, right? Like, but what it's going to do is it's going to break that promise to yourself. And so when you go to that 10 minutes or you go a little bit more, it literally does build that out to be like, all right, now I can start to do. Now you have belief, right? So like,
Mm.
okay, hey, I believe I can just come and do this hard thing and give it a go. because this is just what I do. I don't stop. Like we're gonna finish it. We're gonna see it through. No matter what we do, we're gonna see it through. So, and the integrity is not always perfect, but you just confess, reassess, recommit, get back on track, and I think that's kind of where it started. Is like, hey, if we say we're gonna go do it, then we go do it. Like that night we said we were gonna come work out, regardless if you were here, regardless of what we had going on, regardless if there was that Thanksgiving dinner thing we had that night. There were people there. I was like, well, I told them I was gonna be there, so I got to be there. So that's where that comes from. So people, when they commit to a hard challenge with me and they commit, they're like, shit, I can back out of it.
There's no backing out.
Yeah. So
speaking of hard, what's next? What's the next hard thing you got on your schedule?
Well, I want to do that 10,000 calorie burn day. So, and I want to try to do it before the end of the year, because last year it was the barbarian workout that I got done before the end of the year. I made a commitment to try to get that. I finished it actually on New Year's Eve. I was like, well, it looks like we're going to be out here all day until we finish it. So, got that one done. So I want to do the 10,000 calorie in 24 hours challenge. So
very nice.
Total, if people could not confuse. So I wear my heart rate monitor for my Apple Watch, and it's total calories a day. At first, I thought it was your move calories. If I did move calories, I don't know if it's possible because
that's
like
insane.
Yeah, because literally you would have to do. I mean, it would be like a hell week in Navy. It would be like you'd have to go the 24 hours straight. You literally
you wouldn't be able to stop moving.
Yeah, you'd have to keep moving. So it's a total, but you're pretty close to have to almost not stop moving that whole day too, because we did five workouts and I was only at 6,500. So like that, they were hour ones. So imagine, so I was pretty much halfway. So imagine 5. So you're thinking you're going to put in 10 to 12 hours for that day.
Okay. So, I can see how that'd be the next hard thing for you.
Yeah. Yeah. And
I really can.
Then we got Sweat for Impact, and then I'll be doing that in February. So we got, that's a fun one. So yeah.
What's Sweat for Impact? Can you tell me a little bit more?
So that's stuff raising money for Haiti. That's came from St. Louis up there. So it's, you do a workout every hour for 24 hours. And so people just donate things and say like a certain amount of time. If it's a 1 rep max, like there was like a 3 rep max on bench, and people will be like, I'll donate $1 for every pound you get for 3 times, so little things like that. And just give people to donate, kind of like a run-a-thon or jump-a-thon, right? It's like just like CrossFit style workouts. Obviously, there's not much weight involved. I learned that, like, to go really light, because when you the first workout, you're like, yeah, workout 18, dude, give me 2 pounders. So yeah.
Is there a place where people can sign up for that one?
Yeah, so they're all over. So you can just go to Sweat for Impact, and they have their Instagram. And you can, at any of the gyms that are doing it. And honestly, I think what they're trying to do is get a virtual that you're not even at it, that you don't even have to, like, your particular gym doesn't have to do it. Maybe you're at home, you can do it from your home gym. You can do it from anywhere. And it's a lot of fun. I mean, obviously, like you said, if you can get a community and do it with somebody, do it, because doing it by yourself, that would be a challenge. Now that'd
be a mental grind. That would be a mental grind.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. So you have this thing on your podcast where you talk about gym etiquette.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love that segment. I know sometimes people don't like it, but it's just like, hey man, people got to know. Let's let the people know, in case they don't go to gyms often. What are the top 3 gym etiquette things that pop into your mind?
One is like, the one thing I'm like, what popped in my mind just recently. Maybe it's not that big of a deal, but I think it's a big deal. Putting dumbbells on the bench.
Oh, dude, you ruined the benches.
Exactly, dude. Like that people think it's okay to rest their dumbbell on the bench, but it makes that little square thing, when you pick it up.
Yeah.
Dumbbells aren't meant to go on the bench. Your back is meant to go on the bench. Your butt's meant to go on the bench, not the dumbbells. So do not put the dumbbells. Put them on the ground. Like you're dropping them and you're resting or whatever else. Don't set them on the bench. Don't carry them over. I'm gonna move them around. Put them by the bench. But it ruins the bench. That stuff ruins. maybe you got to own a gym. I've never really owned a gym, but I've had my own bench, and maybe that's where, because when you got to replace that stuff, it pisses you
It's
off.
not
So,
cheap. Oh
yeah,
God, something that could be avoidable, and that can add 5 years to that bench. Oh, okay.
exactly.
I'm with you on that. What's
Yeah.
number two? You got a couple more for me?
Of gym etiquettes, another one is don't stay at a spot forever. Like, that's the other thing. Don't be on your phone. Yeah. Get in,
What,
get
you don't
out.
want to work thumbs?
Yeah, jeez. Don't be scrolling through. Now's not the time to scroll. Here's one that I saw somebody do that is not gym etiquette, but here's an idea. Dude, this person read a book in between sets.
What?
Yeah. So, dude, I was like, genius. Like, you know what I'm saying? Instead of you
Yeah.
look, because that's what happens. We all get stuck. We're doing our phone because we're resting 2 minutes between a superset. That dude's knocking out pages in a book.
Yeah.
Like, he
Yeah.
literally would do his set, get up, read pages, boom, go back, hit it again, read, hit it again. I'm like, dude,
Oh,
that's brilliant.
that's some dedication. Because we at HQ we have a bunch of people that do cardio equipment and read, but I've never seen the between the sets and read.
Dude, you should do that and just see what everyone does. Like, if you're over there just like, what are you doing? I'm getting my 10 pages in. And
I
you
always
know,
want to go to Club Fitness here and do it there just to
yeah.
see just to see the looks. Have a hidden camera.
I mean, dude, I was like, that's a brilliant move, man. That's smart.
Hey, you got to get him in.
Two birds, yeah, see, two birds with one stone. So that's really is good. And then always make sure you're wiping down your machines. Like, be respectful. That's the number one thing. Is like, nobody likes to lay wet. But like, you don't like it, I don't like it, no one likes it. We don't like to even lay in our own. Like, I get mad when I'm going back to my bench and I've got my sweat head there. Like, I'm always like, oh crap, because I don't like it either. So
Yep. Love it. Love it. Are you doing a season 3 of the Larger Than Life YouTube show?
yes, I am. I'm working on trying to get that going. So that's the plan. That's
Okay.
the plan.
Man, because I watch full seasons and I sent them to my mother, and she not only loves you but loves the message and loves the show. And she actually asked me, and I'm actually going to link it down below because I think everybody should watch that.
Yeah.
So I cannot wait for season 3. Just wanted to put that out there because I think it's fantastically done.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. We got some things in the works, so hopefully we can get it going.
Awesome. All right. So I want to thank you so much for your time. And if you could leave people with one message, anything under the sun, what would it be?
I would just tell people just to keep going always, just never give up, you know what I mean, as hard as it is. And just never take a day for granted. One day at a time. Tomorrow's not guaranteed. So just live in the moment, have no regrets, and be who you want to be. Like, don't be anybody else. You don't have to be anybody. I think that this day and age with the social media and everything, everyone thinks they got to be a certain somebody. But if you're an introvert, there's nothing wrong with being an introvert. Like, unless it makes you be in a negative way. If you're a loud person, there's nothing wrong with being a loud person. Like all these labels that people put. Oh, if that person's introvert, then they're this, and this. There's so many good things about being an introvert, like that people just don't understand. Maybe they're a quiet person, but they're very observant. They work hard and everything else, So be who you want to be, not what anybody else wants you to be.
Love it. All right. Thank you so much, Bruce.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to catch up again.
I know. Me too. It's always a pleasure.
It really is. All right, man. I hope you have a good one.
Yes. All right.
Bye.
Bye.